I'm sure you've heard property experts advising newbies to buy properties below market value to get equity from day one. Sometimes they will show us their stats and their calculations, and you'll sit and ask yourself, how on earth does somebody find a 4-bedroom home in suburb X for price Y? How come I can never find properties like this at this price? So today I'm going to show you how these property investors find these properties. I'll even show you different ways that you can even beat the investors in order to find out when excellently priced properties hit the market. I'm Sibilala Magwanyani, aka Sibilala the Estate Agent, and welcome to the channel where we give the inside scoop to first-time home buyers and first-time home owners. If that appeals to you, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can be updated whenever a new video is loaded. Purchasing a property at the right price can really be a make or break in real estate. Now, many times we purchase properties with the idea that we're going to own it or stay there for quite a long time, but sometimes we find ourselves in a position where we need to dispose of the property due to circumstances that are not a desire of our own. In a case like that, the last thing you want is to find that you've bought a property above market value and now you're going to struggle to recoup your money when you're trying to sell. So finding the perfect property at the perfect price is the best thing you could ever do for yourself. When I signed my first deal in real estate as an estate agent, it was to this lovely couple, first-time home buyers. They were buying this 3-bedroom house, really happy, they signed on it. And then unfortunately, there were some complications along the way and the deal fell through. So there was issues with this credit, blah, blah, blah. But long story short, somebody else bought the house. But let's call him Bob. Me and Bob kept in touch, and I would send him articles that were relating to his situation and how he can, sort out his credit. In fact, me and his wife are actually we still get along and we touch base with each other every now and again because he eventually bought the house. You're probably thinking, but I thought you said there were complications and the deal fell through. Here's the thing. Bob and I kept in touch. So as soon as I noticed a few months later that the property was back on the market, I contacted Bob immediately and I was like, yo, dude, have you sorted out your stuff? Is your ish in order? Let's go get you your house. As it turned out, everything was up to scratch and we signed the offer and Bob got the house, meaning the story ended well. I'm going to come back to the situation there, so just bear with me for a second. I've said this before and I'll keep saying it. My content is created with first-time home buyers in mind and not property investors. And the reason for that is because the homeowner and the property investor have totally different strategies. They've got different mindsets. They've got different goals. When it comes to purchasing bargain properties, we need to look at how our intentions as first-time home buyers differ from that of the investor so that we are able to implement what is relevant to our unique situation. When property investors are looking for properties, they are not intending to stay there. So there's a lot of things that they will be willing to compromise, basically because they're just looking at numbers. Now, you as a homeowner might be looking for a house with a large yard because you've got a big dog. The property investor has got absolutely no interest in whether or not the yard is small or large. He'll just get himself a tenant who's either got no dog or a small dog and doesn't mind the small yard. Basically, there is less attachment. If you like this content, click like and go ahead and subscribe for all you need to know as a first-time home buyer and a first-time home owner. New videos loaded every Sunday. When you are purchasing to live there might be a property that is excellently priced, but if it's not geographically close to where you want to stay, that bargain means nothing to you. Maybe you're looking to buy in a specific suburb, and while you are willing to compromise and stay somewhere maybe near there, you probably won't move to the other side of town just because there's a property at a good price. So it's always a bit easier for property investors to take advantage of those bargain properties because they are less emotionally invested, or maybe I should say less picky. So the more precise and detailed you are about what you're looking for, the harder it's going to be to find that bargain. But please believe me, it is still very possible. I'm going to show you 3 excellent ways to find bargain properties, and these are actually methods that the property investors use themselves. And they're all pretty nifty, so don't miss out on any of them. The first one is bank assisted properties. Now, this is a situation where the seller is under some kind of pressure to sell. Sometimes property investors will refer to them as motivated sellers. This is a case where the person needs to get rid of the property either because they've lost their job or they just can't afford the bond repayments anymore, or whatever the case may be. The property needs to be sold as soon as possible because every day that he's staying there, the bond balance keeps on rising. Because of the sense of urgency, usually these properties are listed below market value in hopes that the property will sell ASAP. Now, the first time I bought one of these, I felt kind of bad. I felt like I was maybe taking advantage of someone. But the truth is, you're actually helping this person because this is somebody who, if they don't sell, they're going to find themselves in a lot of trouble. Later in life, I found myself on the other side of the fence where I was trying to find a buyer for my bank assisted property. And the truth is, I am very thankful to my buyers because if they had not bought that property, things would have gotten very ugly for me. So where do you find these bank assisted properties? They are listed on the property portals. So the first place we're going to look is under Property 24. Now you'll see I've got two properties listed on here, both in the same suburb, 3-bedroom house. So one is $1,050,000, the other is $1,250,000, both in Valdrift, 3 bedrooms. Now when you look at these properties, they look exactly the same. Well, obviously because other than the fact that they're different properties, but you can see on here that they're both listed more or less the same thing. But this one is in fact a bank assisted property. But there is no way of telling on Property 24 that this one is a bank assist. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on here and click again. On here, there's absolutely no signs that this is a bank assisted property. It looks exactly the same as the other property that we were looking at in just a moment ago. On the other hand, if we skip to private property, then you'll see there here both the listings are the same, but in this case this one doesn't have the name of the agency. This one has got ABSA, because you can see here it's an ABSA Help You Sell, meaning it's a bank assist. Everything looks exactly the same except for the sign on here. So if this is how basically you're going to know on Property 24 whether or not it's a bank assist. If it's a different bank, it'll have a different logo. Some of them use different names, but ideally you will be able to see the sign of the bank depending on which bank is associated with that property. So on here we're going to click now and you scroll down, but there's absolutely no signs that it's a bank assist. The only way that you will be able to see that is on the main page. Now sometimes what will happen is if you go to the page of the agency, so in this case I've gone to the Pam Golding agency, you click on it, you will see here it says bank assisted sale. That's how you'll be able to know when you are on the agency's website. You must remember though that there are some agencies that will not show the sign, so don't rely just on the agency. In order for us to eliminate this process of trying to figure out, is it a bank assist, is it not, we're going to find a place where all of them are listed together. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the homepage of private property, and instead of entering your suburb, you're going to go to the top here where it says buy. You scroll all the way down until it says bank assisted sales. So we're going to click on here. All of the properties that we're going to be seeing now are all bank assists. So you fill in your province. In this case, we're looking for Gauteng. And then all of the properties in Gauteng are on the right here. In our case, we're looking under Gauteng South, so we're going to click on here. Now you will see that automatically private property lists everything according to the minimum price. There are different options that you can use, but I really do prefer this one, and I'll tell you why. Because as you scroll, because the price properties are increasing, it's easier for you to identify like, okay, you know what, I've reached my maximum. No matter what happens, I can't afford a property above X amount, so you stop looking. So in this case, we continue scrolling. It'll show the different banks on here. There's a lot of ABSA properties. So yeah, as I'm saying, the property prices are increasing. So you keep looking until you find the suburb that the price range that you're looking for. So here we are. We scroll down to our property here, 1250. Now, if your budget is 1250, we've got one here in Vanderbijl in SW1, and we've got another one here in Three Rivers. Now, these suburbs or these towns in Gauteng South don't necessarily have to be closely positioned, right? So you're not just looking for suburbs under Valdrift. So in other words, this one is in Vanderbijl, this one is in Three Rivers, and they're all quite, Vanderbijl, Valdrift, and Three Rivers are relatively far apart. So when you are looking at you might be thinking, okay, you know what, I am willing to live in Three Rivers, but Vanderbijl is a little bit too far. The second way that property investors find bargain properties is also through property portals. It's through listing notifications. There have been many instances where I have sold a property in record time because as soon as the listing goes live of a property that is well priced, immediately I get calls, I get messages, and within a matter of days, that property is sold. When it comes to property alerts, it's quite basic. You're going to go to your homepage. You're going to start with Property 24 and go to Private Property just now. So this is the section that you fill in with your property details and all of that. So you leave that open, it doesn't matter, but this part is irrelevant. We're going to scroll down until we reach property alerts and then click on Manage Your Alerts. So here it'll give you an option to add an alert. So we're going to add one on here. So for argument's sake, in this case, we're looking for Valdrift. So you can also add more if you want to. So if you're interested in more than one suburb, maybe you'll decide, let's look in Arkham Park as well. So we're going to add that there. The property price, the property type, minimum price, maximum price. So let's say for this house, we're going with minimum $1 million, maximum 1.25 million. Then you can decide if you're picky about the number of bedrooms or anything that you feel is a non-negotiable. Then you can put it in this area. We're going to add alerts, and then this is basically what it's going to look like. So we are alerted for properties in Valdrift and Arkham Park. Any property type, so it can be a house or an apartment or anything like that, between 1 million and 1.25. So if you're not happy with the you're only looking for an apartment or you're only looking for a house, then you would click on that section as well. Then on here, it says instant email alert. You've got two options, either the instant or the daily. The one you want to click on here is instant email, so that as soon as that property is listed, you'll get a notification immediately. If for some reason at the time, maybe you didn't click your second suburb or you think of another suburb later, you can just go on here and add another alert. So in this case, we're going for Duncanville. In Vereeniging, everything stays exactly the same. We add the alert and, I forgot to put in the property type. But anyway, you get the idea. You'd be able to put in all of the details that you would want about your property on there. With Property 24, again, you're going to leave this whole section open. You're not going to fill in your suburb or your details or anything like that. You scroll down till you get to create property alerts. Now, the difference between Property 24 and private property is that private property wants you to be logged in. They want you to have a profile. So I've already registered, but you need to just kind of register. I'm just logging in. So you would go here to property alerts. It's going to take you straight there. Then you go to add suburbs, right? So remember we said we're looking under Valdrift. Come on. Oh, here it is, Valdrift and Vereeniging. Now you'll see on here that it automatically shows us the suburbs that are kind of nearby. So here's Arkham Park, here's Duncanville. Now you can choose whether or not you want to just search in Arkham Park, in Valdrift, or you want to include Arkham Park and you want to include Duncanville as well. So that is automatically done. Then you can confirm. And then it's exactly the same process. You're filling in the property type. Is it a house or, apartment, vacant land, whatever. You fill in your prices. Let's just fill in a price to make it easier. And then, again, can you go with daily email alerts or instant alerts? You want to go with the instant alerts. Right, so there we go, we're under yes. So basically, that's how you'll be able to find properties like the pros. The third way that property investors find bargain properties is through estate agents. Now, the first property I ever sold, I sold it in less than 24 hours. By the time the property was listed on Property 24, it already was under offer. And no, I'm not talking about Bob. We'll call this lady Sipat. I had showed her a couple of properties and we just hadn't found something that she really liked. And then I randomly got a call to come and list a property. So I went there, took pictures, discussed numbers with the seller. And as I was driving away, I was like, I think I know somebody who might like this place. So I called the seller and I said, listen, do you mind if I bring a client this afternoon? They were like, no problem. I went with Sipati. She viewed the house, loved it. We signed on the spot. If you have a good relationship with your agent, I promise you they will give you scoops when they come in. But the key word here is to have a good relationship. You can't treat people like poop and then expect preferential treatment from them. Both Bob and Sipati were people that came across as warm and reasonable, and I looked forward to working with them. If they were butt wipes, I wouldn't have called them. I would rather take my chances on somebody where we treat each other with respect. The thing is, if I sell your house or you buy a house from me, we are going to be working together for at least the next 3 months. And I would rather work with someone who I think is reasonable. I'm not saying you must now go and kiss up to your estate agent, not at all. Just treat people the way that you would want them to treat you. If you are running late for a viewing, just let them know, announce it. If you happen to find another property and you are no longer looking, just let the agent know. You don't have to now start ignoring and ghosting people. Because even if you find your house and something goes wrong on that transaction, you will then need to go back to this agent with your tail between your legs, all embarrassed, when you honestly could have just avoided that by just being decent. If you can make an impression on an estate agent, I promise you, when an excellently priced property comes along, they will contact you as soon as they get that listing. By the time that listing hits the property portals, you will know all about it. Maybe you've already made an appointment to view. Maybe you've even put in an offer. Another thing that property investors are very good at is making the numbers make sense. So if you would like to purchase a property with zero money down, go and check out this video for everything you need to know.